We have a couple of announcements this morning. First, generous TJ members and friends had pledged a total of $25,150 towards the vestibule at the entry of our church building. These pledges are restricted funds donated specifically to the building project. We are short only about $4,000 for this project. Gifts have been between $50 to $5,000. Everyone makes a difference. If you can contribute, please let Steve Sargent or Deborah Garbadoff know this week if possible. Coffee chats continue Monday to Thursday at 9 a.m. and happy hour on Fridays at 5 p.m. Barb Friedland, our Director of Lifespan Faith Development, will join us this Wednesday at Coffee Chat as our special guest. The links can be found on the TJ website. Remember to send Reverend Kathy your water photos and memories that involve water in some way this next week. You can email them through her address on the church website. Your contributions will be used in next Sunday's annual homecoming service. Lastly, from the Settled Minister Search Committee, we will be facilitating Zoom small group discussions in lieu of our typical coffee hour. All TJ members are invited to participate.
Good morning. Our chalice lighting words this morning are from Joe Von Roo and Lynette Lau. Welcome to this space, this sanctuary of peace where we come to not only create our best selves, but to also do the work of creating a beloved community. We come together today as individuals, much like individual pieces of glass or pottery that are different shapes, sizes, and colors, all of which are broken with imperfect, jagged edges, but always beautiful. While our pieces may not always fit neatly together, it is within this sanctuary, guided by our principles, that we gather together to create a beautiful mosaic. May the brokenness and beauty you find in one another create peace in this space and fill our hearts with love as we create worship together.
This morning, just in case you missed it the first time, we're going to do Break Not the Circle. Thank you so much, and please sing along at home. Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make it wider still, till it includes embraces all the living. Come wonder at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and guilt, but will that human bonds remain unbroken? Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
That was lovely, Katie. Thank you so much. Our opening words are adapted from words written by the Reverend Robert Terry Weston, someone who Kentucky Unitarian Universalist congregations are deeply connected to. His words are as poignant today as they were when they were written over 50 years ago. When we cease to divide ourselves into the included and the excluded, into the superior and the inferior people, when mutual respect shall have replaced mutual distrust, and it is accepted that one person may excel in one field and others in another, while still others are content to enjoy the world as they find it, then our heart song will confirm we are better together. When all labor is respected without prejudice or favor, we shall know how to be ourselves with a joyful integrity, nor feel that another's preference violate our own, or insist on that which prevents the integrity of any other, and know no bitterness or envy. Then our heart song will confirm we are better together. When we grieve with the known sorrow of others and seek to share its burden, when we have learned to accept our mutual dependence, nor demand special privilege from the dependence of others, peace and plenty shall have been established on the earth. When we can rejoice with every joy of our fellow people, and poverty will be a thing in the past, then our heart song will confirm we are better together. As the uplift of the lark's song and the sense of a glad new world at its morning, as the joy of youth in love, rejoicing that the love is returned, so shall the spirit of humanity be when we have learned to discipline ourselves to live with a due concern for others, nor undertake to discipline them. But the time that this begins is now, and except it begin with you and me, it may never begin. When we cease to divide, then our heart song will confirm we are better together.
There is a parable called The Bundle of Sticks. It's an old story that tells of a family of children who had trouble getting along. They were all grown-ups now, but they didn't always act like it. This troubled the mother a great deal, and she was at a loss to know what to do. Then, one day, she had an idea. She called her children and asked them to go to the forest and each find 2 sticks. They were to bring their sticks back to her the next day. Well, the children did as she asked and came to her home the next day with 2 sticks each. And she asked the children to put one of the sticks down and see if they could easily break the other in half. Well, of course, that was an easy task, and the grown-up children thought their mother had lost her mind to ask such a thing. And that was when the mother asked her children to pass her the other sticks, and she bundled them together. Then she passed the bundle of sticks back to her children and asked, "Please pass this bundle of sticks amongst you and tell me, is it as easy to break the bundle as it was the single stick?" Well, the children passed the bundle amongst them, but none of them could break the bundle of sticks. Arrgh! No way. "You, my children, are like these sticks," the mother said. "If you go your separate ways, quarreling and holding resentments toward one another, you will each be alone like the individual sticks. The difficulties of life will easily hurt you. But if you work together, appreciate each other's strengths, cherish what you share in common, and care for one another, You will be strong like the bundle of sticks, and nothing in life can break you. So what might we take away from this parable? The first thought is that one stick alone can be easily broken, yet many banded together are much stronger, or unbreakable even. We are always stronger together, and we need each other to survive. We are a people of community. Our seventh principle reminds us of how we are connected to each other in so many ways. And when we try to separate ourselves out from each other for whatever reason, race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, so many ways. When we do that, we weaken our interconnected web of existence. When we focus too much on the individual, other parts of our web of existence are stressed and strained. And right now we are seeing what can happen when we focus too much on just a few sticks and not the whole bundle. We don't always notice that some sticks are being left out. We may not notice that the ties are becoming ragged. And there is something else we don't notice when the other sticks are kept out, kept on the margins. You see, many of them break. Many are lost. But the pile of sticks removed from the bundle grows. The sticks left on the margin grow larger and stronger over time, and as the group of sticks that are left out grow, the first bundle doesn't seem so big anymore, and it becomes weaker. The ties that held it together become loose and broken in some places, and some of the sticks from the first bundle decide to join the pile of sticks that had been excluded on the margins. And they found that when they held each other, they didn't need to be tied together. They could support each other and work together to create a strong bundle. And we can do the same. Our seventh principle, the interconnected web of existence, calls us to care for and support each other. Together we can create a strong community, a strong and welcoming community that always has room for those who wish to be part of our bundle. It takes a lot of work, but together we can create a stronger and more beloved community.
Just a reminder that though we're not physically gathering right now as a congregation, the work of your church goes on, which means we depend on the generosity of your contributions to do that work. You can make your contributions through our website online. We also still will receive them if sent through the mail. Thanks for your support of your church. Each Sunday in our services, we lift up the joys and concerns of our lives, experiences that challenge us, experiences that we celebrate, and we bring those experiences alike into this sacred time as a way of discerning the meaning they bring to our lives. I don't have this morning any joys or concerns to read aloud, but by no means does that mean we are a congregation without joys and concerns this morning. So I'd invite us to take a moment using an image of a backpack that each of us always wears, our own backpack. And in that backpack, we carry joys and concerns, sometimes for a very long time, even a lifetime, sometimes for a short time. This morning, in your own joys and concerns backpack, what would be in there if you started taking things out? What joys do you hold this morning? What concerns do you labor under this morning? for all those joys and concerns. May we carry one another in our hearts.
That was so lovely. Thank you both so much. The bright fabric banners moved in circles around the convention center space so quickly. It was impossible to see them all and to still see the radiant smiles of the proud banner carriers. Our voices rose together in song, such a balm for the spirit to join as one at a time when our hearts were broken by continuing acts of violence and hatred, days when our country felt so divided between those with privilege and those without. And our hearts beating in sync, reminding us that we are better together. It was an honor, a pleasure, and a deep privilege to lead opening worship at the annual General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association in Columbus, Ohio in 2016. Have you been to General Assembly? When we UUs gather together in person for this annual event, you find us on every street corner and can pick us out by our Birkenstocks or by our badges, or by our smiling faces. With it online this year, I know many people who otherwise couldn't participate did get to for the very first time. And they got to see our values in action as we worshiped together and filled online chat rooms to discuss the latest social justice issues and what our collective response as Unitarian Universalists might be. Whether online or in person, General Assembly is full of workshops, governing sessions, choir practices, lectures, worship. It is a feast for the mind and the spirit. And just like any feast, one can easily become overstuffed and find oneself needing to take a break, to throw a nap in where maybe a workshop slot was. Whether online or in person, General Assembly is a celebration of our proud history as Unitarian Universalists. And it is a time to help shape the future, a future where we know that as individuals and as congregations, we are better together. So, we know that in order to create change in an organization, whether it's an institution or a country, first, critical mass must be achieved. And change theorists tell us that the tipping point for achieving critical mass is 25% of a population. When 25% of a population believes a certain way, they can tip the scales in their direction. Once a movement reaches this critical mass, you still have to keep up the work, of course, but the moral arc begins to bend. But getting to that 25%, that takes a lot of work, especially when you're talking about a large and diverse population. The only way to get there is for people and organizations to work across barriers, across different belief systems, different geographies, different races and classes and ability levels and genders and sexual orientations. As Unitarian Universalists alone, we are nowhere near enough to achieve this critical mass by ourselves. And so that means that in order to be impactful, in order to make a difference, we have to work with others. But sometimes it feels like we're swimming against the current when we try to work with others. The reality is that the tactic of divide and conquer has been utilized by the forces of domination and oppression for hundreds and hundreds of years. Countries, organizations, and groups of people that have more in common than they do differences are pitted against each other. For example, for generations, the elite in this country have turned poor white people against Black people who would be their natural allies in overcoming systems of oppression. Did you know that Immigrations and Customs Enforcement in Chicago is training a citizens academy in how to make immigration arrests, including the use of firearms, turning the average Chicagoan into a vigilante when really they have more in common with the people they are hunting than with those who are training them to hunt? Working together is particularly difficult too in times of crisis, when our inclination may be to hunker down and take care of our own and to define our own in too limited of a way. In crisis, we can forget that we are better together, that in order to defeat the divide and conquer tactics, we must work together. We forget that we are stronger, smarter, more compassionate, able to accomplish more, and even more courageous when we work together. This is why we organize ourselves into associations and networks. It's why we work in interfaith coalitions. And it is at the heart of why we are creating this new Unitarian Universalist State Action Network here in Kentucky, KUJAN, the Kentucky UU Justice Action Network. So you might have heard the saying that a minister has one sermon that they give over and over again in different ways. This might be mine, as it seems to be at the heart of each sermon I preach. We are better together. Let us count the ways. First, we're better together because we're stronger together. Barb did a lovely job of telling the classic Aesop fable of the bundle of sticks in just a little bit different of a way, right? This is that story where a wise elder demonstrates that one person like a twig can be broken, but if the people are together like a bundle of sticks, they grow stronger. So this is where my geek cred comes out a little bit. Echoing this on her eponymous show several seasons ago, Supergirl shared that the famous S, or what looks like an S, on their uniform stands for the Khalil family motto, El Mayara, which, in case you didn't know, in Kryptonian, it means stronger together. Supergirl says she doesn't want to be a hero like her cousin, you know, that famous guy, right? Someone who goes it alone. Instead, she has friends and a family who know her secret and can help her. And certainly, we know we are stronger together. One of the best contemporary examples of how we're stronger together, I think, is the issue of same-sex marriage in this country. What changed wasn't the Constitution, it was the country. The Freedom to Marry campaign got us to the tipping point by bringing together LGBTQ activists and young conservatives and political leaders and religious institutions, healthcare workers, and so much more. It took time, but working together, enough people finally saw that gay people were human beings worthy of rights and dignity. And our culture shifted from them to us. If this sounds a little familiar to what is happening right now in regards to racial justice, I think it should. There have been Black Lives Matter rallies in small rural communities all around Kentucky. And there's even a movement called Rednecks for Black Lives. When companies make the strategic call that supporting Black Lives Matter will earn them more money than staying silent, you know we have reached critical mass. Black Lives Matter, like freedom to marry, is a force to be reckoned with. We are stronger together. Second, we are better together because we are smarter together. Alone, we have our own opinions and feelings and ideas, and that's great. But it can also become an echo chamber. When people come together across differences in their ways of being, we add new experiences, feelings, and ideas. We deepen what's called the pool of shared meaning. And the more people and the more perspectives we add to the mix, the deeper and wider the pool of shared meaning becomes. This is one of my favorite things about really good meetings or gatherings. The synergy that comes when someone's idea builds on another's, and we come up with something so much better than what we could have come up with on our own. When I worked for the southern region of the Unitarian Universalist Association after leaving my ministry with First Unitarian here in Louisville, this was one of the things I loved about the Congregational President's Convocation that the southern region does each year. They bring together congregational presidents from across the region, and the presidents cross-pollinate. They share their experiences with one another, with what worked in one congregation, what didn't. They bounce ideas off of each other. One congregation might be struggling with how to do something that another congregation recently conquered, and so the leadership can help to support each other. Kujan, our new state network I mentioned, will be bringing together social justice leaders in UU congregations and sharing similarly. We are smarter when we come together and share our ideas, our experiences, what worked for us and what didn't. Third, we are better together because we are more compassionate together. When we are in our echo chambers, we may not realize how what we're saying comes across to people. We've seen an example of this in the environmental movement, which has historically been made up of middle-class white people who, intentionally or not, have denied people directly impacted by climate change a seat at the table, even though people of color and indigenous people are often impacted first and hardest by the changing climate. Without these voices at the table, white environmentalists tend to intellectualize climate change and unintentionally miss how it is impacting people right now. We haven't focused adequately on the rising rates of asthma in poor and Black communities. We have unintentionally ignored entire communities being displaced by ravaging cyclones. We've missed that people are experiencing water scarcity already. Yes, this is mostly unintentional, absolutely. But it makes people who are already living on the margins feel like white environmentalists care more about polar bears than we do about them. We need their stories. We need to know them in order to become more compassionate. Because people who are living on the margins, the people who are directly impacted by climate change right now, make us more compassionate. Fourth, we are better together because we are able to accomplish more together. That year I got to lead worship at General Assembly in Columbus. It was particularly exciting to me because UU Justice Ohio, the state action network for UU congregations in Ohio, joins together regions, congregations, covenantal communities, and more. UU Justice Ohio knows that we are better together and able to accomplish more when we unite to hold our government accountable. In our new Kentucky State Action Network, we have folks from Northern Kentucky who attend Cincinnati congregations, joining our efforts, saying how hungry they have been for something similar to what Ohio has, because they have seen firsthand how our voices are stronger and we can make magic happen when we come together. We are able to accomplish more together. And finally, we are better together because we are more courageous together. We saw this when Unitarian Universalist congregations began to put up Black Lives Matter signs. It was almost exponential, starting with just a few and then growing in leaps and bounds until I would hazard a guess that a very, very large percentage of our congregations have these signs somewhere on their property. Once they knew others were doing it, congregations were more likely to be brave and put one up too. And this is true in our lives as individuals too. As I hope you are aware, there has been a lot of action around racial justice here in Louisville. Today marks 156 days since Breonna Taylor was killed in her home. The protests downtown have been ongoing for 81 days now, and police violence against protesters has escalated. A few weeks ago, a call went out for clergy to come because a right-wing militia, the 3%ers, had announced plans to confront the protesters. I wanted to be there. I knew this was an important way to put my faith into action, but I was scared. The last time we had done something like that during Occupy ICE Louisville, the cops were very clearly protecting the heavily armed right-wing militia, not the nonviolent protesters. It was startling to so many of us who thought that the cops would protect us. Before I decided what to do, I talked with my local colleagues. We shared how afraid we were, but each of us said that this felt like something we were called to do. When we arrived at the protest site, people thanked us for being there. It mattered. We went to the front line, right in front of the police line with the militia on the other side. We clergy stood there together in prayerful pose for hours. It didn't matter if our theologies were the same or different. It didn't matter whether our politics were in alignment or not. It didn't matter if we agreed on any other social justice issue or anything else in that moment. We were together, and their presence gave me courage, and my presence gave them courage, and our collective presence as faith leaders gave the protesters courage. We are more courageous together. As Unitarian Universalists, we live with a natural tension between independence and association, freedom and order. We are unique and independent, and yet at the same time, interdependent. Whenever we work together in congregations, in state action networks, in coalitions, in clusters, in interfaith organizations, in networks with other organizations, it turns out that we are stronger, smarter, more compassionate. It turns out that our mostly small congregations, particularly when we work with partner organizations, we are able to accomplish more and to be more courageous. When we come together, we strengthen the circle of enabling love, and indeed we make it wider and wider still as we create something beautiful and wondrous. We are indeed better together. May it be so.
Please join us at home with Come Sing a Song with Me. While the words will be up, I will still prompt you. Lift your voices loud together, although we are apart. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And meanwhile, let us dream dreams together, here in this space and in our communities and in our states, and with other Unitarian Universalists and our partner organizations. May we remember that we are smarter together and that we are more compassionate together. Let's remember that we're stronger together, that we can accomplish more together, and that we are more courageous together. And why? Why are all these things true? Because we are better together. Amen, and blessed be.